Good morning and welcome to this morning's reflection. And so we begin our journey to the cross, and we begin the 40 days of Lent. And so today I would like to begin by reading from the Gospel of John, chapter 12 and verses 1 to 8. 6 days before the Passover, Jesus went to Bethany, where Lazarus was, whom he had raised from the dead. They gave a dinner for him there. Martha waited on him, and Lazarus was among those at the table. Mary brought in a pound of very costly ointment, pure nard, and with it anointed the feet of Jesus, wiping them with her hair, and the house was full of the scent of this ointment. Then Judas Iscariot, one of his disciples, the man who was to betray him, said, "Why wasn't this ointment sold for 300 denarii, and the money given to the poor?" He said this not because he cared about the poor, but because he was a thief. He was in charge of the common fund and used to help himself to the contributions. So Jesus said, "Leave her alone. She had to keep this scent for the day of my burial. You have the poor with you always. You will not always have me." The house was full of the scent of ointment. An extraordinary thing happened when Jesus returned to Bethany. There was a moment so exquisitely beautiful that it was nearly inexpressible. It was one of those rare moments when a person is so overwhelmed with love for another that all reservation and all self-consciousness falls away, as if no one else was present, and love overflows in a fullness of expression. The moment at Bethany occurred when, with precious and costly ointment, Mary anointed the feet of Jesus. In anointing Jesus' feet, Mary did something culturally inappropriate. Feet were anointed only as part of the embalming ritual. Thus, her expression of love, the act of anointing, was a transparent prophecy of Jesus' imminent death, and Jesus acknowledged it. She had to keep the scent for the day of my burial. The house was filled with the fragrance of the perfume. Unfortunately, not all who witnessed the moment were open to seeing this glory. Judas was blind to it, his mind warped by the shadow of darkness, while those who believed saw a supreme expression of love. Judas saw only a rash extravagance, foolish and wasteful. The contrast between Mary, who loved, and Judas, who did not believe, is striking. One in the crowd saw clearly the intent and full import of Mary's gesture of love, and that one was Jesus. He countered Judas's disgruntled criticism with a reprimand. "Leave her alone. You have the poor with you always. You will not always have me." Jesus was reminding Judas, as well as the others, of a rabbinic teaching. Although almsgiving and other works of justice were considered essential, The works of mercy, of which burial was one example, had primacy and were seen to be more perfect. Jesus was aware that the disciples whom he loved would soon be subjected to the radical poverty of the loss of his physical presence. He recalled the teaching not to emphasize the inevitability of social poverty, but to give voice to his keen awareness of the timeliness of Mary's extravagant offering of love toward him. Through Mary's action of love, we are privileged to see more clearly the power of Jesus' love and what our response of honor and worship of him can be. Her abandonment in love to Jesus, who passed through death and burial to glory, bears witness that only love is strong enough to transcend death. Song of Songs 8 and verse 6. Within us, the Spirit of Mary of Bethany is present to prompt and encourage our hearts to grasp the moment to follow Christ by loving as he loved, giving himself as a fragrant offering. Ephesians 5 and verse 2. And so now let us quiet ourselves and simply relax into the presence of God. And we declare in this moment our dependency on God. And we ask for the grace to know and love Jesus more intimately, so that we may follow him in faith with courage. Take a moment to imagine yourself at the table in Bethany. Consider the joy present there among the friends who gathered with Jesus. Be aware of the undercurrents of sadness and a feeling of dread. Look at each face around the table. Take note of what you see and what you feel. Watch Mary. And become aware of what her face reveals of her inner spirit as she strokes the feet of Jesus with this perfumed ointment. Allow the fragrance to gently enfold you. Imagine the fragrance as the presence of Jesus. Slowly and deeply breathe in this fragrance of the presence of Jesus. Allow this presence to permeate your entire being, every cell of your body, to be filled with his essence. Contemplate the face of Jesus. See behind his eyes. See there knowledge of the deeper meaning of this moment. Be with him. Can you find it in your heart to kneel at the feet of Jesus, and with Mary to anoint his feet? Allow your heart to speak intimately and deeply to the heart of Christ.